So we're gonna do our one of two, and we are going to start our one of two with Nick's latest video, talking about Frank Luke, the World War I ace fighter pilot. Okay? Are we ready? Is we ready? Let's go.
In 2023, a Chinese spy balloon drifted across America until America sent up two F-22 Raptors to go blow it up, and those Raptors' call signs were Frank 1 and Frank 2. Now, at the time, I thought that was weird. Those aren't the cool call signs you hear in the movies like Maverick, Coyote, Hangman, Rooster. It's just Frank 1 and Frank 2. So I looked into why they called them that. As it turns out, they were named after an American World War I fighter ace that specialized in popping enemy observation balloons. So that's kind of cool, but at the same time, I never said this out loud, but I thought it in the back of my head was, it's kind of lame to become a fighter ace for popping a balloon. Like, that doesn't seem very fair to all the other fighter aces that had to go shoot down enemy fighter planes. That seems way more dangerous than popping a balloon. Why would you become an ace for that? Well, like most uneducated knee-jerk opinions, I was incorrect. And upon doing the research, I realized that I was almost as incorrect as humanly possible, because as it turns out, World War I observation balloons were not only the toughest target to bring down, they were also the most dangerous. So much so that many other fighter pilots absolutely refused to even try. So in a way, this video is my apology, or at the very least, an attempt to make sure that you don't make the same mistake. Today we're talking about the greatest fighter pilot of World War I, Frank Luke, aka the Arizona Balloon Buster. He earned not only one, but two Distinguished Service Crosses and the Medal of Honor in the span of 18 days, when in that 18 days, he flew 10 missions and is credited with downing 18 enemies, including 14 enemy observation balloons and 4 planes. And that's not including multiple unconfirmed downed enemies, and the fact that he had to be given a new plane on 5 separate occasions because the plane he flew was so shot up.
It broke.
And we're gonna get into all of it right after a word from our sponsor.
Delete me.
What's up?
Where's your gun? This one you gave me sounds like the noisy cricket from Men in Black.
What's wrong with that? It suits you.
Bigger's better.
Yeah, I've heard that before here. All right, here's the deal. Super simple, straightforward business model. You give them money, they turn around and make sure that data brokers on the internet aren't selling your personal information. What does that even mean? Okay, here's the entire internet and every free service on the planet inside of a nutshell, okay? There's a saying, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. What that means is pretty much anything on the internet that you use, that's a service, whether that be Google, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all of it, okay? It's all an app. So one of two things is happening. They're either gonna feed you ads, and that's how that company makes money since their service is free, or they're going to collect your personal information, then turn around and sell it to data brokers.
And by the way,
she's
already said, Leo,
she's hunting rabbits. Sell it to whoever buys it, and next thing you know, you're getting 17,000 robots.
All right, guys, I'm telling you right now, the next person that tries to throw spoilers is getting timed out. You know I like to go into these videos blind. All right? The next person that starts throwing spoilers out, you're getting timed out. It needs to stop. You guys know I specifically watch videos completely blind so I get a fresh perspective. I do not want any of you guys saying anything spoilery or, you know, how I might get emotional. Enough. I've been silent about this long enough. I'm going to say this the nicest way possible. Shut the fuck up when it comes to spoilers. I'm sorry, I'm getting tired of it. You guys have been told time and time and time again. No more. Your warnings are up. You're going to start getting timeouts and possibly bans if you keep pushing. Okay? Am I clear? It's been said plenty of times before. Every single React video, when someone said something about, oh, you're going to get emotional about this, or you're going to get angry about this, you guys get told by the mods, no spoilers. It's very simple. Okay? Enough is enough.
calls every single day. And that's where Delete Me comes in. They will look through all the major data brokers and find the ones that are selling your personal information and submit opt-out requests on your behalf, and then they are legally obligated to comply. And then they'll continue to monitor these data brokers, and if they get your information again, Delete Me will submit an opt-out request again. Basically, you're paying Delete Me to get rid of all the downsides of all of the free stuff on the internet, which I think is absolutely worth it. If you want to check them out, I'll have a link and a discount code down below. Let's get back to the video. All right, our story begins on May 19th.
Okay, okay. Place your bets. Place your bets. How much of the main character checklist are we getting? I'm gonna hazard a guess and say farm boy, grew up poor, and dad died when he was young. That's gonna be my guess. Yeah, definitely farm boy, because he was in Arizona, obviously. So obvious farm boy there. Grew up poor, and then I'm gonna say dad died when he was young. I'm going with those three on the checklist.
1997, when a young Frank Luke Jr. is born in Phoenix, Arizona. Now, at this point in time, Arizona isn't even a state yet. It's still a U.S. territory, meaning that Frank Luke basically grew up in the Wild West. And in Phoenix, Arizona, at this point in time, the entire economy basically runs off of copper mines, meaning that Frank Luke grew up with the only male role models he had being cowboys and miners, which are like the two most manliest professions on the face of the earth. Despite that, he's still
Yeah, you are correct, Gasoline, and as Nick did just point out, it's primarily mining. I do think, well, I said farmers, I misspoke on there. It should have been, I should have technically, I think you can farm in Arizona. It's not all 100% desert, but it would have been more along the lines of like cattle ranching versus farming.
Little kid, and little kids do weird stuff for seemingly no reason at all. And Frank Luke's weird thing when he was a kid was he loved collecting things. And it wasn't like things that he was into like a normal collector, like you collect like pocket knives or model trains.
Boys, farming. I don't know why, but that just struck me as fucking hilarious. There's a boys farmer. I mean, considering he's gonna be a badass pilot, it kinda fits. It does kinda fit.
Sets or model planes or watches or whatever. He didn't collect things that he was like super into. He just collected things for the sake of collecting things. He loved nothing more than just finding something and being like, oh, an empty soda can. I'm gonna see if I can collect 500 empty soda cans. And all he cared about was getting the 500 soda cans. He would like set a goal for himself and then just strive.
Oh. Scary guy? Yeah, you called it. I'm thinking Frank had a bit of the tism. No, best man. Not insane. He might have had the tism. This is autistic / ADHD behaviors. Like, oh, I like a can. I think I might, or OCDs. Yes, thank you. Yes, Kaneo. I'm sorry. Not ADHD, OCD. I mixed up. Yeah, it's which honestly, OCD is like starting to get lumped into the autism spectrum. But yeah, I'm definitely thinking he's got the rhythm of the tism going on this one.
To meet that goal for no apparent reason. That's just how he was hardwired.
Behold my stuff.
And to his parents, it was never really a big deal. It's just, he's a little kid, they do quirky stuff. My kid enjoys collecting bottle caps, like, whatever, that's fine. Until one day, when Frank is 5, Dad goes into the shed looking for an empty can because he wants to get some worms and then take the kids out fishing. So he goes in the shed and he finds dozens and dozens of cans perfectly lined up and organized, and he's like, oh, Frank.
Autism! 100% that's autism. Oh, this is amazing. Frank was 100% autistic. Not only did he collect, say, I need to collect as many of these, I need to collect 500 of these as possible, and then very neatly organize them. Oh, yeah, he's autistic. Oh, this is going to be fucking amazing. Oh, this is going to be great. I love this. You know what? This might be, correct me if I'm mistaken, this might be the first Nick War hero that he's talked about where there is like an obvious autism. I don't think we've talked about any old school war heroes that exhibited this level of autism before. We might have our first one in a Nick video, and goddamn, I'm here for it. Oh, goddamn, am I here for this?
Frank must be collecting cans now for some reason. Actually, this is kind of handy for once. That's nice. Grabs a can, a tarantula falls out. He starts freaking out, knocking over a bunch of other cans, and now there's fucking tarantulas everywhere. Frank wasn't collecting cans, he was collecting tarantulas. Dad storms in the house, kids are sitting at the table eating breakfast, like, why the fuck is my garage full of tarantulas? Frank is like, because I'm trying to collect 100 tarantulas. And Dad is like, why? And he's like, so I can have 100 tarantulas. What don't you get, old man? I've got quotas. This is important. So even from a young age, when Frank Jr. decides he's going to do something, by God, he's going to get it done no matter what. By the time he reaches middle school, he starts getting involved in sports. He excels at everything: football, track, tennis, anything and everything he tries, he excels at because he is...
Okay. I was wrong about one of the check marks. Actually, I think I was wrong about two of the check marks. He did not grow up poor. And he did not grow up with dad being dead at a young age. So I was wrong about two of the check marks on the main character checklist. However, he is apparently very autistic, and that was not on my bingo card. God damn it should have been, though. And I love it.
Hyper competitive. When he decides he's going to be the best at something, when he assigns himself a goal, he goes out and he achieves it. But despite being hyper competitive and always wanting to be the best, he's also not a dick like you would kind of assume. He's actually a really good dude. His best friend from middle school onward was a kid named Bill, not a speck of athletic ability at all. Short, fat kid that got picked on all the time, becomes best friends with Frank Luke, and anytime he's getting picked on...
Wait, I think a lot of people are actually autistic. Everyone has their quirks. His OCD can be different things. I'm OCD. You have my computer files. Jones, I get what you're saying. And that argument has been made, is that everyone has, like, everyone has at least a small degree of autism. Excuse me. But I think there's a difference between, like, being, very, wanting your computer files very much arranged in a specific way. Or some people, like, I want my kitchen to be arranged a certain way. Or I need my desk to be arranged in a certain way. Those are, like, those kind of things are, like, small, little idiosyncrasies. People that have autism... The autism and the OCD basically controls their lives. It is something that cannot be controlled no matter how much they try. And I think that's what elevates it beyond being quirky and particular to autistic. It's that degree of how much that controls your life and controls your decision making with everything. And it's not limited to, usually with, like, autism, it's not limited to one specific thing. It's it's expanded to practically everything, to all aspects of your life, is where autism dictates, okay, I need to touch this specific surface 5 times when I pass it, or, I need to have things arranged just so on this surface, whereas on this other surface, they need to be arranged just so. Or I need to, every time I see this object, I have to take it. And that's before even going into the social aspect. Like, for people that are moderate to severely autistic, they have 0 social skills. They do not know, really, they lack the ability to function socially. So clearly Luke was high functioning autistic, but there is definitely autism in there, and it's extending well beyond just like a quirky little idiosyncrasy for him.
That kid that got picked on all the time becomes best friends with Frank Luke, and anytime he's getting picked on, Frank intervenes and saves the day. He's super popular, his best friend isn't, Frank never cares, and he kind of functions as Bill's protector all the way through high school. When they were 12 years old, Frank and Bill actually went camping one time. They literally just rode off into the desert on horseback together with guns at the age of 12, because apparently that's what you do in the Arizona Territory in the early 1900s. And while they're out on this camping trip, they try to cross a river that's been flooded, and there's a huge current aren't going through it. Frank, being athletic, manages to cross the river, and then he's,
No.
yelling to Bill, come on and cross, tries to coach Bill through it. Bill ends up getting tangled up in a branch and almost drowns, and Frank dives in to save him because that's the kind of guy Frank is. As they enter high school together, everything pretty much stays the same. Frank continues doing sports, continues being super popular, keeps hanging out with his buddy Bill, keeps being his protector, having his back all the time, but during the summers, he needs to go to work. So Frank gets a job every summer working in a copper mine, doing back-breaking manual labor with grown-ass men. And Frank continues being Frank even when he's in the copper mines. He's very goal-oriented. He wants to be the best. He sets quotas for himself. He's like, what are we doing? We're digging holes? Cool. I'm going to dig the biggest hole, and I'm going to do it the fastest. Pretty soon, he's making a lot of grown men look bad, and they don't like it. And when he was 16 years old, one of these grown men decided to confront him in the middle of this copper mine, and they got into a physical altercation, and 16-year-old Frank Luke beats up a grown man. Afterwards, the foreman comes around asking what happened. Frank simply responded, he asked for it, and I gave it to him. This event kind of led to Frank getting the reputation as a pugilist, which eventually led to him leaving the copper mines for work and kind of becoming a professional underground fighter in gambling rings in Phoenix, Arizona, because apparently there was nothing else better to do in Phoenix, Arizona in the early 1900s than to watch a 16-year-old beat up grown men.
Okay, be honest. What's there to do now in 2025? I don't think things have changed much in Arizona over the last 2 centuries. Pretty sure that's probably still the only thing to do in Phoenix, Arizona.
Continues through the rest of high school. Frank and Bill go on to graduate. They're still best friends. And then after high school, he just kind of goes about living a normal life. And in Phoenix, Arizona, that means you get a job at the copper mine and you just start living. And he does that for the next couple of years until he's about 20 years old. And at that point, America enters World War I. And one day, Frank just wakes up and for whatever reason decides he's going to join the military to be a fighter pilot. That's it. He just decides.
Oh my God, that's autism. Chat, be prepared. I'm going to be saying that a lot this video. That's autism right fucking there. That's literally how people with autism work. They will fixate on goals. They'll fixate on their own goals. They'll fixate on tasks. And then literally out of nowhere, they will suddenly decide, okay, I want to do this. And then they'll hyper fixate on that new task that literally seems to come out of nowhere. That's how it is with the person in my family. When it comes to specific point of food. For so a damn time, the person in my family would only eat very specific foods. If you tried to get them to try a different food, they would go, no, and you could not get them to try different food. And then I told you guys about this on my vacation this last summer when I flew out to California to visit with family. I took a chance and I tried to introduce the person in my family to pizza and French fries. Because we tried before and they were like, nope. They outright refused. And at a fucking airport, at an airport restaurant, I ordered something and I ordered pizza and there was fries that came with their meal. And I told them, I said, just try it. Take a try. They tried the French fry. They just suddenly decided, okay, I'll try it. Literally out of nowhere. I was fully expecting to get the nope thing again. Outright refusal. Out of nowhere, the person in my family just went, okay, tried it, loved it, and now loves French fries. Got him to try pizza. They the pizza was on when we were on the airplane. When we were actually on the airplane flying, we got a meal mid-flight, and I got pizza, and I said, here, do you want to try? Gave them a small piece. They tried it. They liked it. Now, granted, they didn't go all in on the pizza like they did with the French fries, because now, anytime we get anything from McDonald's or Wendy's or anything where there's fries involved, they ask for fries. They say, can I have fries? Of course you can have fries. So this literally came out of nowhere. For years. Trying to get them to just try fries. It was same thing with nuggets. Out of nowhere, they suddenly decided, you know what, I like nuggets now. It literally comes out of nowhere. This is just how autism works. You cannot force someone with autism to do something new. You can't force it. You can introduce it. You can coax them and say, hey, keep asking, hey, do you want to try this? Do you want to try doing this? And they may outright refuse over and over again until finally one day their brain just goes, okay, I'm going to do it. And then it's like a fucking switch flips. And now all of a sudden they will do X activity or they will like X food or something. It comes literally out of nowhere. Their brain just one day decides, I want to do this. And that's what this feels like. Out of nowhere, Frank just decided, I'm going to go in the military and I'm going to be a pilot. Out of fucking nowhere. Like, the tism is strong with this one, and I am fucking here for it.
To do it. There's no touching story about how he's always wanted to be a fighter pilot ever since his dad took him to an air show, or he looked up to the military, or he has some family background, and none of that. Zero reasons. He just woke up one morning and was like, I want to be a fighter pilot, and then proceeds to go do it.
I just felt like running.
So he goes, he talks.
Yeah, the
I want to be a fighter
example.
pilot, and then proceeds to go do it.
Perfect example. Forrest Gump. Perfect fucking example. He just felt like doing it and did it. Out of nowhere, boom, brain just said, I want to do this now, and start doing it. You have no better perfect example, not only of saying I just felt like doing it, but the fact that Forrest is autistic. There is no better example. Oh, fuck.
Felt like running.
So he goes, he talks to his best friend Bill about it. Bill isn't going to let his homie go alone, so they go to the recruiting office together. They talk to the recruiter. The recruiter takes on Frank Luke and decides to pass on Bill because he just doesn't meet the criteria for whatever reason. So that sucks, but Frank Luke, he's got a new goal. He's got a new quota. He absolutely has to meet it. Peace out, Bill.
Yep.
I gotta go. After signing up for the military,
Yep.
Frank finds out that getting into the fighter pilot program isn't really that simple. At this point in time, and still today, being a fighter pilot's a very big, prestigious deal. And a lot of people getting slots at this point in time are, people whose parents are somebody important, not people that were raised by copper miners in the Arizona territory. Regardless, Frank fills out all the paperwork, sends it off to get approved, doesn't hear back in a timely fashion. A couple of weeks go by. So Frank decides he's going to send a telegram to the adjutant's office saying, hey, when's my report date and where do you want me going? Which is insane. It's extremely arrogant, extremely cocky. It's like applying for Harvard, not getting an acceptance letter yet, and then calling the dean's office asking when classes start. Like, nobody does that. But regardless, Frank Luke is Frank Luke. He's gonna brute force his way through life, and oddly enough, it worked. So Frank gets accepted into the aviation program and ships off in September of 1917. When he first gets there, the guy in charge lines everybody up, gives them the big speech like, hey, only 25% of you guys are going to make it through this program, and then some of the 25% of you aren't going to survive through actual flight training. Not many of you guys are actually going to make it to be pilots. Frank Luke interprets this as a challenge, so now he's absolutely going to do it just to spite this guy. Now, the aviation program at this point in time isn't like any military training today. Military training today, you would go into a basic training, and that basic training is where you learn all the basics of being in the military, how to march, how to salute, who's an officer, rank structure, general orders, all that stuff. This is like a program that mashes that together with flight theory and aviation theory. So he's learning all about flight and the theory of it, but he's also learning all the basics and the dog and pony show stuff of being in the military.
And he's gonna know it all. He's going to soak it up like a sponge because he wants to be a fighter pilot. So he's going to take in everything that they give him and just soak it up like a fucking sponge.
Once. And he absolutely hates the dog and pony show part. He is just a naturally rebellious guy. He grew up on the wild frontier, and he's been working as a grown man since he was 12. He doesn't want to be walking around calling people sir and saluting everybody, so he kind of grits his teeth and does it anyways.
Okay, I think I'm going to disagree with Nick on this one. My hunch, my suspicion, is not necessarily because, I've grown up and I've already been working. My suspicion is he doesn't like the dog and pony show stuff because it's taking away from the flight school stuff. All he wants to be is a pilot. He doesn't care about the dog and pony show. His brain is fixated on the flying. That's all he wants to do. All he wants to do is learn about flying, and that's it. He doesn't care about the rest of that bullshit because his brain is saying that stuff is completely unimportant. The flying is what I want to do. This is what I want to focus on. It's classic tism fixation. Absolutely fucking classic.
And then he decides, you know what? I think people should call me sir. So he invents his own rank and proceeds to convince a bunch of younger trainees that he is a third lieutenant. Okay, there is no third lieutenant. It's second lieutenant, first lieutenant, captain, yada, 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 general. But the younger trainees don't know that yet, so he's got all the underclassmen walking around saluting him, calling him sir. Despite his rebellious streak, he winds up graduating, he makes that 25% cut, and he ships off to actual flight school. While there, obviously, he learns how to fly planes, and in the initial training, he's just going up by himself, taking off, driving around, doing acrobatic stuff, landing the plane, and he's naturally talented at it. He's a great pilot. And then they get to the portion of training where they simulate dogfights, and this is where Frank Luke sets him apart from everybody else because he is the absolute best at it, and he's not the best because he's a prodigy at flying. He's good, don't get me wrong, but he's not some amazing pilot. He's just willing to outwork absolutely everyone, and he's literally willing to die to prove that he's the best. Basically, when he dogfights, he turns everything into a head-on collision game of chicken, and he never ever loses because, like I said, he's literally willing to die. There's accounts of people that went through training with him, and the overwhelming consensus was that Frank Luke was a madman, and most of them said when you went up against Frank Luke, you weren't trying to beat him, you were simply trying to survive this simulated combat and avoid a mid-air collision. While at flight school, obviously he's going out into town on his days off. He ends up meeting a girl, Marie. They fall in love. He's bringing her to the airfield to watch him practice. He's doing acrobatic stunts. He's crushing everybody in the simulated fighting, showing off in front of his girlfriend. Everything's going perfect. And that's the new life plan. He is going to go off, become a fighter pilot, come back home, marry Marie, work in a copper mine for the rest of his life, and live happily ever after. From here, obviously, Frank graduates a flight program, gets sent off to Europe to fight in the war, and when he first gets there, he gets put on ferrying duty. Basically, they want to give all the junior pilots as many flight hours as possible, so they use them for ferrying planes into the combat zone, right? You got to get them to where they actually need to be, so they take all the junior pilots, they fly the planes into the combat zone where they need to be, they drop them off, they all hop in a truck together, drive back, and do it all over again, and Frank does it over and over and over for weeks. This isn't really what Frank wanted to be doing, but he does also appreciate the fact that this is training and it's preparing him to be a better fighter pilot, so he does it. In addition to that, he's also writing back home to Marie and his mother every single day. Obviously, they're both scared, they're both concerned about him. He's fighting in the biggest war the world's ever seen at this point in time, and he's basically writing back home being like, hey, I'm just on ferrying duty, I'm not actually in combat, I'm just flying planes in, I'm dropping them off, and I'm coming back, I'm perfectly safe, you don't have to worry about me. And then one day, his number gets pulled. There's a squadron that's been fighting in World War I since the very beginning that's lost a bunch of pilots, and they need new recruits. Luke has a bunch of hours logged, ferrying planes back and forth. He's the best man for the job. He gets brought into the 27th Aero Squadron First Pursuit Group as a reinforcement. Getting brought in as a reinforcement is not something that's conducive to Frank's personality type or demeanor, right? Because he is the new guy. He's the FNG. He's the cherry. He's the guy with no combat experience going into a group of men that have been in the shit for a while. And this is pretty much made clear to him the moment he gets to the unit when him and all the other reinforcements are given their welcome speech by the commanding officer, Major Hartney. And all of them are hanging on every single word that Major Hartney says, because not only is he an experienced combat veteran that's been there and done that, also the word on the street is Major Hartney is one of the only men to go toe-to-toe with the Red Baron and survive. Now, I'm paraphrasing a little, but the gist of this speech is this. Here's the deal. You're all going to be dead in 2 weeks if you don't listen to me and listen right now. The first couple of times you go up, you are going to see combat. And if you get that feeling in the pit of your stomach that you're not supposed to be there, it means that you're a coward. I'm not asking you to be brave. I'm asking you to be brave enough to tell me that you're a coward so I can get you out of here so you don't get yourself or somebody else killed. As of right now, you are 27th Aero Squadron in name only. If you can prove to me and everybody else that you've got the balls to do this job, we might let you stay. And before you ask, you will know when you were a full-fledged member of this unit without me having to tell you, so don't expect a fucking welcome party. Now, hearing that, most people would keep their—
Damn! Why? Yeah. That is an absolutely real speech. That's a commander who's like, I don't give a fuck about pomp and circumstance. I've lost men. I don't want to lose more that don't know how to do the job that they are here to do. Cut up or shut up. That's a leader. That's absolutely a leader. Yeah, you're right. He's setting the tone. He's instilling into his troops, like, you're going to do the fucking job or you're going to get the fuck out because I want people here that can do the job. Badass right there.
Their head down, shut up, and do what they were told to the best of their ability, but Frank proceeds to be Frank. He does what he's told, he does it to the best of his ability, but he's also not afraid to tell all the other pilots how excited he is to go up and get the Germans and tell them what a good job he's gonna do and say that he's gonna be a fighter ace one day, which means that you've downed 5 enemy aircraft, which is a humongous accomplishment and a big deal in the aviation community. Now to Frank, this isn't him bragging, this is him just being excited and telling everybody that this is gonna happen because he's decided it's gonna happen.
And the tism speaks once again. I'm not letting this go. My tism is tisming, and I will not let this fucking go. He's literally saying, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And he's just like stating it factually, not like I'm a Billy Badass. It's like, I'm going to go. All right, I'm going to use the Forrest Gump voice here. I'm going to go up there and I'm going to shoot all them Germans down, and then I'm gonna come back. Like that, like, I get the feeling like that's, like, obviously not in that tone of voice, but, like, that's kind of the feeling that character gets put into. It's like, I'm gonna go up there and I'm gonna shoot all the Germans, and then I'm gonna come back. That's what I'm gonna do. Red flag! Thank you for the 10 gifteds. Thank you very much. Well, Revan, it's not my tism is other people's tisms. It's when the tism is discussed, I am fucking all in. Because because autism is such a deeply intimate part of my life that anytime autism is brought up, it's like I'm fucking in. Any time, because it is one of the most important facets of my life because of myself and because of my family. Yeah, like my quote unquote tism is movies is one of them. Movies, TV, firearms is also kind of a tism of mine. But yeah, but just like discussing autism is just like I'm all in, because even to this day, it's still not properly understood. That's why anytime autism comes up, I'm just like all fucking in on it. Because to this day, it is still widely misunderstood and it is abused. It is still widely abused to this day by so many fucking like Gen Zers and younger millennials that think being autistic just means being quirky, and the internet diagnose themselves for clout. And so for anybody that actually has autism or has someone very close to them that is autistic, you know that will set you off. And that's like one of the reasons why my almonds get activated whenever the tism comes up.
And that's how Frank is, but everybody else interprets it as him being cocky and arrogant and boastful, and because of this, he gets the nickname the Arizona Braggart and doesn't have many friends.
Aww.
Around the same time that Frank gets into his unit and starts doing training missions, his unit gets issued the newest, latest, and greatest plane, and this thing is the equivalent of a flying sledgehammer. This thing is basically the American muscle car concept applied to a plane. It is not built to be nimble and agile and handle well. It is a drag car. It is meant to be big, strong, and fast as fuck. This is a wooden plane that they threw a V8 engine into that had 220 horsepower. This was the fastest plane of its day when it first came out, capable of traveling over 135 miles an hour when most other planes were traveling.
No! Okay, am I crazy or wait, is that just the foot? Okay. Okay, sorry. For a second, I think it's just the paint scheme on it. I'm like, oh my god, that plane is fucked up, but it's not. It's just, like, I thought that this was a giant fucking hole in the fuselage. That's just the paint job. I get, okay, it's fine. The paint scheme completely fucked me up for a moment.
Miles an hour when most other planes were traveling like 110 miles an hour. And it could outdive any other plane. The problem is it could also outdive itself because you could dive so fast that when you pulled up, it would literally rip the wings off your plane and then you die.
Oh, shit.
On top of that, it was initially plagued with mechanical issues because they stuck a giant V8 inside of a wooden plane. If anything went wrong, those engines would overheat, stall out the plane, and then you die. Or there's also the possibility that the 220 horsepower V8 engine that's held inside the wooden plane by wood could snap the wood off and let the engine block just free spin, stalling out the plane, and then you die. There was also the possibility of the synchronizer between the propeller and the twins Vickers machine guns malfunctioning. And what that is you see the machine guns are mounted behind the propeller.
No.
So the machine guns, when they fire, are literally shooting through the fucking propeller blade as it's spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. And if it gets out of sync at all, you shoot your own propeller off and then you die. And while you're worrying about that, you're inside of an open cockpit traveling at 135 miles an hour. It is so loud that it causes permanent hearing damage. And if that wasn't enough, there wasn't a fuel pump. The pilots literally had to fly the plane, worry about all that shit, get hearing damage, and physically pump gas into the engine while they're flying the plane. And I know what you're thinking. Why do they have to die if there's a malfunction? Why can't they just jump out with their parachute? Because in World War I, America didn't believe in giving their pilots parachutes because they were worried they would bail out prematurely and it would cost them a plane. So they basically put you in the plane and said, bring it back or don't come back at all.
That sounds disturbingly like the Japanese fighter planes that attacked Pearl Harbor, the kamikaze fighters. Did they not give the kamikaze fighters parachutes either, along with welding them inside their cockpit? And that sounded disturbingly like that.
At all.
I believe I said bring it back in one piece, not bring back one piece. Anyway.
But Frank doesn't really give a shit about any of that. He's just excited to be here. In fact, he's going to take advantage of the fact that these planes are known for having mechanical issues. Frank starts going,
yeah, Zeb, I don't know how true this is. This could have just been like rumor or speculation, but I do recall once upon a time, like reading something or hearing something about how the kamikaze pilots, like, yes, they volunteered, but they would actually weld the canopies shut so that the pilots, like, in the face of death, wouldn't panic and then try to bail out or something. Yeah, like something like only enough fuel to reach Hawaii. They welded them in the cockpit so they had no chance to try and bail out or something, like if they were over water, like throttle back when they were over the water and then bail out over the water to try and survive, that they would actually like weld them into the cockpit so that way basically you do your mission and accept death. That's what now, whether or not they welding the canopy shut is true or not, I don't know. It's just one thing that I've heard about those pilots.
He's going to take advantage of the fact that these planes are known for having mechanical issues. Frank starts going up on combat missions on August 1st, 1918, and on his very first combat mission, he gets up in formation and then immediately peels off and goes off on his own, just goes rogue, lone wolf style, hunting for Germans by himself. On this occasion, he doesn't find any, and then when he gets back to the airfield, they ask, where the fuck did you go? He says, oh, I had an engine problem and had to turn back, which would be fine. That's completely normal, standard operating procedure. But he does it over and over again, and in his head, he's thinking like, these guys think I'm bragging, I'm gonna go off, take out some Germans, prove to them that I'm not bragging, and I actually have the skills to back it up. But that's not how they interpret it. They interpret it as him being a coward because every time he goes up on a combat mission, he has mechanical issues and has to turn back to the airfield. They don't know that he's going out hunting Germans by himself because that's not what he's telling them. He's telling them that he just went straight back to the airfield, which they interpret as him weaseling out of a combat scenario. So now, not only is he seen as the braggadocious new guy, he's also a coward as far as everybody else is concerned. So socially, he's not having a good time. He's not fitting in with anybody, but he doesn't want to let his mom and Marie back home know that, so he keeps writing them letters and he's telling them that he's still on ferrying duty. They don't know that he's on the front lines. As far as they're concerned, he's perfectly safe just flying planes back and forth, not in combat, which is absolutely not the case.
Oh
So
boy.
Luke isn't popular. Everybody thinks he's a coward. Because of this, he's kind of placed as the lowest priority as far as getting the planes ready goes. So as his squadron's getting ready to go up onto a combat mission, the ground crews taking care of his plane last are still loading up the machine guns and putting fuel in his plane, and the squadron leader decides he's just going to peel off with engine problems anyways. We're not going to have him in combat. Let's just leave without him. So they take off and just tell him to catch up later.
no.
So Frank waits around for his plane to get ready. His plane gets ready a little bit later. He takes off. He says that he looked for his formation. Who knows if he actually did or not, because honestly, he wants to go off on his own anyways, which is exactly what he does. And this time, he finally finds some Germans. He sneaks up on 5 German planes flying in formation, and one of them is lagging behind a little bit. So he sneaks up on him. He dives on that first plane, lights it up from 100 feet away straight out of a dive, pulls out of the dive, turns around. That plane's wounded, but it didn't go down yet. So he dives on it again and shoots it down. By the time he pulls out of that dive, the other 4 planes are on his ass, but he's in a spat and he can outrun anybody at this point. So it just turns into a drag race and he makes a clean getaway. Luke makes it back to the airfield. He's absolutely pumped. He just engaged 5.
They are not going to believe him. Oh, no, they're not going to believe him. Because he's all alone. He was all alone. He didn't have any wingmen with him that could have seen the kill. And so they're going to think he's lying. Oh, no.
Enemy planes by himself, shot one of them down, and lived to tell the tale. Everybody's gonna know now that he's not a coward, and he is in fact the guy he's claimed that he's gonna be the entire time. He gets out, tells his commanding officer what happened, tells everybody the story, writes up the report. Nobody believes him. His request for confirmation is denied because nobody saw it. If you want a confirmed kill, you have to have eyewitnesses saying that you got that confirmed kill, and he went off on his own, and nobody believes him because he has 0 street cred. So now, as far as everybody else is concerned, he is no longer just the fucking new guy. He's no longer just the arrogant guy with no experience. He's no longer a coward. He's also a liar. So when he types up his combat report to Major Hartney requesting a confirmed kill, it immediately gets rejected because, again, he has no eyewitnesses. So he's pissed. He storms into the HQ tent, shoves the clerk out of the way, grabs a typewriter, and types up a bunch of blank affidavit forms for any eyewitnesses to be able to sign off on in the future. If they want proof, he's going to get them proof. He's going to prove that he's not a coward. August 25th, 1918, Frank goes up on a mission with a new wingman, a guy by the name of Joe Weimer. Joe Weimer drew the short straw on being attached to the coward and braggadocious Frank Luke because, well, nobody really likes him either. Unlike Frank, though, it's not a clash of personalities with Joe Weimer. He's actually a really nice, likable guy. Nobody wants to be around Joe Weimer because he has German ancestry and everybody's concerned that he might be a spy. So the two misfits go up on a mission together, and for the first time, Frank legitimately has mechanical issues. His engine stalls out in mid-flight. Extremely dangerous situation. He now has to figure out how to land a plane with no engine and no runway. Everything could go wrong. Despite that, he's Frank Luke. He finds an open field, glides down, makes a perfect landing. Couple of seconds later, Joe Weimer lands right next to him, also with what appears to be a stalled engine. They get out, they meet in the middle, they talk. Frank is like, your engine stalled out at the exact same time. And Joe's like,
oh no. Oh my God, did they sabotage their planes? Oh, fuck, these guys. The 2 guys that the squadron hates, oh my God, they sabotaged the planes. Fuck, is that what it's gonna be? Yeah. The timing on it? Oh, fuck me.
No, I heard that you were super arrogant. I thought you shut your engine off and made an emergency landing trying to show me how good of a pilot you were, and I wasn't going to let you one-up me. So I shut my engine off and did the exact same thing.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
And from this moment...
God, that is so much better. Oh, that is so much better. Yeah. Oh, these guys are gonna cook. Oh, these guys are, these 2 just became, yeah, I was way the fuck off. I will freely admit I was way the fuck off. This is so much better. This is going to be fucking amazing. These 2 are going to be the fucking dynamic duo after this one.
They're inseparable. They become best friends. They're bunkmates. They're homies. They're wingmen. Frank finally has somebody that he fits in with. And unlike Bill back from high school, this guy can actually keep up. From here, the 27th Aero Squadron moves into a more dangerous combat area to help the Allied forces with the St. Michael offensive. Upon their arrival on September 5th, 1918, while they're getting all their planes ready, getting unpacked, the German pilots fly over and drop a letter. It's a welcome letter from the German pilots that they will be going toe-to-toe with, and it's very polite when you read it out loud, but the real intention is to basically say, we know who you are, we're not scared of you, and we're gonna fuck you up. And to Frank Luke, that's game on. The next day, Frank...
Challenge! Or should I say, challenge accepted.
Gets slotted to go up on a mission, and he goes up with a guy by the name of Lieutenant Vasquez. And after the mission, they don't find any Germans. They come back, they land, they're all hanging around the planes, and they're talking. And during this conversation, Vasquez informs Frank Luke about enemy observation balloons. Basically, giant inflatable balloons with a little basket hanging underneath. There's a German inside of it with binoculars and a radio, and he's going to be able to use that high altitude position to be able to spot Allied trenches and call in accurate artillery fire. It's absolutely devastating. We got to take him out. He then informs Frank that he hopes he never has to take one out. It's so dangerous, he would never order a man to attack an enemy balloon. He would do it himself, but he hopes it never comes to that. Because as counterintuitive as it is, these balloons are extremely tough. They're full of hydrogen, which is flammable gas, so you would think you just shoot it and the entire thing blows up into a giant fireball, but it doesn't really work that way because you need the right mixture of hydrogen and oxygen. You can't have an explosion or a fire without oxygen. So when you fire a bullet into this balloon, it goes into all hydrogen and there's no oxygen there, and the only oxygen that can get in is from the little tiny bullet hole that you created. So you have to hit it dozens, if not hundreds of times to get enough oxygen inside of that balloon for this thing to fucking ignite. And
well, okay, first and foremost, Average Week, thank you so much for the 2,000 biddies. Thank you so very much for that. But secondly, I mean, it's a balloon, so even while you might not explode it, you put enough holes into the thing, it's going to start going down. You know, you get punctured. I mean, I suppose if, well, actually, no, now that I'm thinking about it, those balloons are of such a substantial size that a tiny little bullet hole is not going to result in a release of hydrogen in this case fast enough that it will actually cause the balloon to deflate. Because you're talking about a balloon probably the size of a fucking 2-story apartment building, and then you've got like a tiny little bullet. Right? Yeah, thinking about it for 1 second. Yeah, I can actually see why why just shooting it wouldn't do anything.
In order for it to ignite, you have to be using incendiary rounds out of a Vickers balloon gun, which isn't useful in aerial combat against planes, meaning that when you go up with Vickers balloon guns, you're just the balloon guy. You're basically defenseless against enemy planes, which are absolutely going to be defending the balloon. And on top of that, because it's such a big, obvious target, the Germans are defending it. There's a ton of anti-aircraft cannons and anti-aircraft machine guns all around this thing. And because you have to hit it so many times, if you want to take it out, you're going to have to make multiple passes. And the second that you make your first pass, they're going to start using the winches to pull the balloon down lower and lower, and every extra pass you make, you're getting closer and closer to that enemy anti-aircraft fire.
Seems fair.
And if you're able to survive the enemy planes and the enemy anti-aircraft fire and get close enough to engage this balloon...
Tornado? Cute thought. Problem is, you have to remember, these are World War I planes. Aerodynamically, if you put a blade on the... You have to remember, the balloons themselves are probably made out of some rather robust material. Like, not overly so, but it has to withstand the pressure of all that hydrogen expanding inside of it. If you put a blade on the wingtip to try and basically slice it, you're basically turning that airplane, the moment it hits the balloon, it's basically going ass over tea kettle. From just that destabilization of the flight. You know, when that wing with the blade attached makes contact with the canvas balloon, it's complete. It's going to be doing a complete. It'll either rip the wing off because that's already an issue, or it's going to basically throw the airplane into a flat spin. And with these planes, you're not recovering from a flat spin, so it's simply just not viable. Leo, dropping a grenade? highly difficult. Imagine going like 100 miles an hour, and as you're passing over the balloon, trying to dodge enemy fire, keep your line of sight, and then perfectly time the drop of the grenade. Not to mention the fuse of the grenade is like only probably about 3 to 5 seconds, so you'd have to be extremely low. It's not happening. It's something like that simply is just not happening.
And lucky enough to actually ignite it and blow it up, guess what? You've blown up a giant ball of hydrogen right fucking next to you while you're in a wooden plane. And then, if you're lucky enough to somehow survive all of that, it still only counts as one aerial victory. Taking out enemy planes is way easier. I would just rather do that.
Still only counts as one.
The lieutenant explains all of this to Frank, but all Frank hears in his hyper-competitive brain is, if I want to be the best, if I don't want to be a coward, I need to be the guy that takes out balloons.
And thus, the tisming shall continue until morale improves.
Got it. September 11th, 1918, they pull all the pilots in, they give them this briefing like, hey, we know that nobody wants to go out and attack balloons, but there's a major offensive going on the ground. The Germans got balloons everywhere, calling in accurate artillery fire, getting good recon on our guys. Somebody's got to go in and take them out, and that somebody is us. So here's the plan. We're going to outfit one guy with the balloon guns. Everybody else is going to go up. They're going to engage all the enemy planes to get them off of his back, and that guy's going to go in and take out the balloon. Frank, hearing this, is pumped. Like, this is it. This is his moment. He's going to volunteer tomorrow to be the balloon guy, and he's going to prove to everybody.
Zed? I'm thinking no, because taking out the balloon guy is not the solution. Because they can always just winch the balloon down, throw another guy in there, and wait and let him sail back up. You take out the balloon, you've taken out valuable equipment that is not simply replaceable by another person. You take out the equipment, and now they don't have that equipment to go back up in the first place with another guy. They've got to build a whole new one. So it's more effective from a tactical perspective. Guessing what? No, I think it just means that Frank is just gonna like tism the fuck out of taking out these balloons. I don't think tracer routes existed, but he did say that he did talk about there was a specific a specific gun mounted on the planes to take out the balloons that possessed incendiary rounds, which is good for the balloon, but it's not good in dogfights.
This is it. This is his moment. He's going to volunteer tomorrow to be the balloon guy, and he's going to prove to everybody he's not a coward. So he goes back to his bunk, getting ready for the next day, lays down, tries to go to sleep, can't sleep. Biggest day of his life tomorrow, super important, just can't sleep. And he can't sleep, and he can't sleep, and he finally falls asleep, and when he wakes up, he's late. He's late to the pre-flight meeting. So Luke wakes up, panics, throws his clothes on, runs off to the pre-flight meeting, shows up late. Everybody else is annoyed. They think he's a coward. They think he's braggadocious. Whatever. That's fine. Before he had gotten there, since he was the only one not there, they concocted a plan, a little bit of a prank. They were going to verify that Frank Luke was in fact a coward. Before Frank had got there, they had already drawn straws to find out who was going to have the most dangerous job, who was going to be the balloon buster on this mission. But they're not going to tell Frank that. They're going to tell him that because he showed up late, he drew the short straw, and he's going to have the most dangerous part of this mission. He's going to be the balloon guy. They're actually going to outfit his plane with Vickers balloon guns, but it's not really going to be an issue, and it won't interfere with the mission, because once Frank, the coward, finds out that he's got the most dangerous part, sure enough, he's going to have mechanical issues and go back to the airfield, and that's how they're going to prove that he's a coward.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Yeah, they're literally giving him exactly what he wants. Great plan.
You are made of stupid.
Mechanical issues and go back to the airfield, and that's how they're going to prove that he's a coward.
Joke's on you, I'm into that shit.
So they take off on this mission. To everybody's surprise, Frank does not peel off with mechanical issues. They end up peeling off later when all the German planes show up. They engage the German planes, clear the way for Luke. Luke dives the enemy balloon, and when I say he dives it, I mean he gets within 10 feet of this giant ball of hydrogen and then lights it up with incendiary ammunition. Finishes his pass, pulls up, the balloon didn't ignite. Okay, this is the point where most pilots are like, okay, I shot my shot, That's the end of it. Time to go home. Successful mission. But not Frank. Frank is going to prove that he's not a coward. He turns around and dives it again as they're winching it lower to the ground, closer and closer to enemy anti-aircraft fire. His plane is just getting lit up with enemy bullets as he strafes the balloon again, igniting it as he pulls up, somehow managing to avoid the explosion, and then he limps his highly damaged plane straight to the nearest American balloon and lands in a field. Gets out of his plane, goes straight up to the ground crew of the American balloon, asks for the commanding officer, and is like, "Did you just see 4 miles away where I blew up that giant balloon?" And they're like, "Uh-huh." And he pulls out his pre-typed affidavits and has the commanding officer...
Yes! Wisdom the tism, baby! The tism strikes again! I fucking love this! Okay, I need you to sign these affidavit documents right here, right out in the middle of the battlefield. The tism is real, and I fucking love it! I am fucking loving this!
Officer of that balloon, write up exactly what he saw and sign it so that he has proof that he took down an enemy.
Thank you!
Goes to hop back in his plane. His plane is so shot up that it won't even start. Ends up sleeping in his plane in the middle of that field next to the American balloon all night. That night, the American balloon team radios over to the airfield, lets them know that Frank survived, and the next morning they arrange for a car to drive him back. By the time Frank makes it back to the 27th Aero Squadron, everybody has either seen what Frank had done or heard about it, and he has gone from the coward that brags too much to the absolute madman that's willing to get within 10 feet of a giant ball of flammable gas and shoot it with incendiary ammunition while he's getting lit up by anti-aircraft fire, and everybody realizes, oh shit, maybe this kid's legit. Shortly after that, his SPAD makes it back to the airfield, and the ground crew said it was the worst condition they'd ever seen a plane come back in, ever.
Wow.
September 13th, Frank has to take the day off because they're getting him a new plane. September 14th, he goes to the morning briefing. The briefing is just a general mission, suppress enemy air power. Basically, go up, engage whatever Germans you can find. Frank hears, go destroy enemy balloons. Got it.
Let's do this. Leroy Jenkins!
Yes!
Oh my god, he just ran in.
So sure enough, they go up, they wind up spotting an enemy balloon. A different pilot goes in, engages the balloon first, launches his strafing run, they start winching the balloon down so the enemy aircraft fires more accurate, and then a different pilot goes in and strafes it the second time.
What happened? I don't know, it just didn't explode. That's weird.
Okay, doesn't blow up, that's fine. They're winching it lower and lower every passing second. We're not gonna get this balloon. At least we got it out of the air for the day. Not according to Frank Luke. Frank Luke, while they're already winching the balloon down, goes in and makes his strafing run, again, from 10 feet from this giant ball of hydrogen. Pulls up, it doesn't blow. It's getting lower and lower by the second. The enemy anti-aircraft fire only gets more accurate. It just keeps going down as they winch it lower and lower. So Frank turns around, makes a second pass, doesn't blow up. The balloon's getting lower, the fire's getting more accurate. He makes a third pass, then a fourth pass, then a fifth pass, then a sixth pass. He puts so many fucking holes in this balloon, while it doesn't ignite, it completely deflates and lands on the ground crew below. Okay, that counts. Frank's done it. He's accomplished the mission. That is a confirmed kill on an enemy balloon, his second one. But he's still got 75 rounds of ammunition left, and it would be a shame to fly it all the way back to the airfield, so he makes a 7th pass and lights up the anti-aircraft crew to return the favor. Frank then flies back to the airfield, immediately goes to the ground crew, and is like, fix my plane, get it ready to go back up. I'm going back up again today. While the ground crew's getting his plane ready, he goes to Commander Hartney, and he's like, hey, I want Joe Weimer to go up as my wingman from now on. And now he's got the street cred. They're like, yeah, dude, whatever you want. Nobody else has the balls to go up with you anyways. Fucking take him. Joe's game, and Luke has a new plan. He's gonna do something new. He's not gonna attack the balloons by diving them like everybody else does. He wants to attack it from the bottom. It sounds crazy when you don't think about it, but actually, it's
No, actually, what makes about say is it makes sense from a tactical perspective. All of the anti-aircraft guns, all of the spotters are going to be looking up. They're going to be expecting him. Yeah, all the anti-aircraft. Well, it's not that he doesn't want the anti-aircraft guns to fire them. It's, well, obviously, yes, he doesn't want the anti-aircraft guns to fire them, but they're all going to be predisposed to aiming much higher, and all of the eyeballs are going to be higher. So if he flies low, he's going to be firing under their range, under their point of aim, and also maybe able to sneak in where people aren't looking And even if they do see him, the amount of time that it's going to take for them to readjust their point of aim with the anti-aircraft gun, he can always basically, he can get in at least one good run on the upswing by flying in low. It actually makes a lot of sense. Although, depending on how low he flies, he does potentially open himself up to ground fire, because it is a wooden plane, so potentially speaking, there could be ground fire if he's going too low. But like as a tactical plan to avoid the anti-aircraft fire and basically get a sneak attack on them and get at least one run in before the anti-aircraft guns can get a bead on him, tactically it makes sense. It does. And thank you for the gifted night shields.
It's genius because you're never going to believe this. Guess where anti-aircraft guns are pointed? At the fucking air. Who knew? So when you traditionally dive an enemy balloon, the enemy sees you, they're already sighted in, they're shooting at you the whole time you're diving, and then if you make it that far, you strafe the balloon, then you level out, exposing your belly, getting more anti-aircraft fire, then you have to do a slow 180 climb to go the other direction entirely, getting more anti-aircraft fire.
Oh, is that all?
Instead of that, Frank's gonna have Joe go up super high out of the range of the anti-aircraft guns, but close enough to be a distraction to them as well as any other German planes in the area, while Frank sneaks in super low to the ground, so low that the German anti-aircraft guns can't angle down to shoot at him. Then when he gets right below the balloon, he's gonna pull up and fire into it the entire time he's climbing. So rather than being exposed to enemy anti-aircraft fire on the way in, the way over, and the way out, he's only exposed to enemy anti-aircraft fire on the way out. And it works like a fucking charm because the first time Frank and Joe go up on a balloon busting mission together and implement this new strategy, they blow the balloon up in a single pass, which is a good thing because Frank's guns also jam and both of his guns are down. What's not good is there's 8 German fighter planes now on Luke's ass and he has no way to defend himself, but luckily Joe is so high that he's able to dive on their formation, scatter them, and they both make a clean getaway. They then both make it back to the airfield and celebrate. No, I'm just kidding. Frank immediately beelines to the nearest American balloon, lands in a field, goes to the commanding officer and is like, sign this shit saying you saw us blow that shit up.
Kill confirmed.
Then he goes back, hops in his plane, takes off out of a field, flies back to the airfield, celebrates with Joe. His plane is so heavily damaged, they have to give him a new one again. And everybody is shocked that just 2 dudes managed to take a balloon out by themselves in a single pass. And if that wasn't enough, the fact that Frank, the coward, managed to take out 2 balloons in a single day.
Hell yes.
September 15th, morning mission. They go up with a normal formation, bunch of allied planes. They go in, they attack this balloon. 3 separate planes strafe the same balloon. One of them is Luke. They wind up blowing up the balloon, but Luke is not credited with the kill for that one. That's fine, no big deal. Go back to the airfield, fix the planes, more fuel, more ammo. That evening, they go up again. Frank goes in, engages a balloon, makes a pass, doesn't blow it up, turns around, makes a second pass, blows it up, immediately beelines it to the next German balloon. He's gonna take out 2 balloons in a single run, beelines it there 4 miles over, engages a balloon, blows it up in a single pass. Goes back to the airfield, planes totaled, they have to give him another one again. At this point, command's starting to take notice. This kid has just taken out 5 enemy balloons, becoming a balloon ace in the span of 2 days. And taking out a balloon is a humongous deal. They're super expensive, they're not easy to make. If we can keep taking them out at this rate, it's gonna have a humongous impact on the war, so
and that's what I was talking about. When you were saying, like, why not just take out the guy in the balloon? There it is. There's the exact reason. You take out a very expensive piece of equipment like this instead of a person that they can easily just replace, because it's just a guy up there spotting and just saying, yeah, I see guys over there. That's easily replaceable. You take out the extremely expensive equipment that is needed to put men into, now you're fucking up the enemy. There it is, right there.
Command wants to try something new. They come up with the idea they want to try attacking balloons at dusk, right when they're lowering the balloons to the ground. Since Luke likes attacking the balloons low anyways, why not? Well, the why would be because it's absolutely fucking crazy to try attacking with a biplane when the sun's about to go down, because there's no lights in the plane, there's no navigation equipment like a modern airplane, and there's no lights on the fucking runway. You can't land the plane in the dark because you can't fucking see anything. To which Luke is like, that's not a big deal. I can probably get close to the airfield just off of kind of, knowing where I'm at, and then when I think I'm close, I'll just shoot a flare out of a flare gun out of my plane at what I think is the runway, and that'll give me enough light and enough time to land my biplane in the dark. And Command is like, fuck it, what could go wrong? Why not? So Frank takes off at dusk with no lights, proceeds to find an enemy balloon. They're actively winching it down for the night. Like they're done for the day. It's 100 meters off the ground. It is right above all the anti-aircraft guns. Frank engages it anyways. Plane gets shot to shit, but he blows up the balloon in a single pass and then takes off into the darkness. Then, to absolutely nobody's surprise, he gets lost because it's dark and he can't see anything. And Frank is like, oh, fuck, what do I do? What do I do? And he's just flying around for a little while. And then eventually on the horizon, he sees thousands of tiny little lights everywhere, and he figures that must be the Allied troops at Verdun smoking cigarettes, having lamps, whatever it is. That's the only thing that would make all those tiny little lights. So as long as I can fly past that and find a field somewhere, I'll at least be behind friendly lines so I won't get captured by Germans tonight. So that's what.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
I gotta fit either a city or it's a German encampment, and he's actually behind enemy lines.
He does. He flies over the troops at Verdun, finds a wheat field somewhere in France, lands, and sleeps in his plane that night. Makes it to the airfield the next morning. When he lands, he is informed that he has been credited with all.
And now that was shockingly anticlimactic. Okay. Apparently I was incorrect, and it was just like, no, apparently it was, super easy. Barely an inconvenience. Okay.
Of his previous balloon kills, he is officially an ace, and they're giving him the Distinguished Service Cross, the second highest award to the Medal of Honor.
Damn.
September 16th, 1918, Frank gets back. He's told he's an ace. He gets a Distinguished Service Cross. That's great. He's ready to go back up in the air and get more enemy balloons. But Hartney is like, no, you're going to take the morning off. I've got special plans for you tonight. Frank is taking out balloons left and right. It's making not only himself look good, but the entire 27th Aero Squadron and his chain of command as a whole. So now they want to show off. So they're going to do another night mission to show off their new tactics, and they're going to do it in front of the head honchos. They're going to be bringing in General Billy Mitchell and Eddie Rickenbacker. Okay, General Billy Mitchell is one of the most important people in aviation war history, period. This is the guy that knew 2 decades ahead of time that airplanes were going to be the future of warfare. While everybody else was worried about building big, bad battleships, he was the guy that was like, no, we need to be building aircraft carriers because I can sink a battleship with my fucking airplanes, and he would later go on to prove it. And Eddie Rickenbacker at this point in time is a national celebrity because he was a professional race car driver that joined the war, became a fighter pilot, and he is now America's top ace with the most confirmed kills in combat. Frank eventually realizes what's going on, and he's like, oh, you want me to show off? I'll fucking show off. He then proceeds to go up to Eddie Rickenbacker, the leading ace, and General Billy Mitchell, and introduce himself, and he's like, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to blow up that balloon at 7:15, and then I'm going to blow up that one at 7:19.
You serious?
Okay, do you understand what just happened? Being able to blow up 2 balloons.
He Babe-Ruthed it. He literally just called his fucking shot. Oh, this gonna be good.
In a single run at this point in time is unheard of. Being able to do it in the dark is absolute insanity. Being able to pick the exact moment that balloon's gonna blow up down to the minute is like asking this guy what the winning lottery numbers are territory, okay? This is impossible. He has just written a check that no human being has any right to be able to cash. So naturally, Billy Mitchell and Eddie Rickenbacker are just like, okay, kid, just go up there, do your job, don't get killed. We'll be watching. Good luck. So Frank and Joe take off into the night, heading towards these balloons. Sure enough, Eddie Rickenbacker and General Mitchell are sitting there with a fucking stopwatch. Like, how could you not? Let's see if the kid's really that good. The minutes are ticking by. 7:10, 7:12, 7:15. Here it is. He's got 60 seconds. Can Hot Shot really do it? 7:15 and 30 seconds. 7:15 and 35 seconds. 7:15 and 36, 37, 38, 39. The balloon lights up in the night sky. Holy shit, the kid actually did it. He called it down to the minute. That's absolutely incredible, but let's be honest, let's be realistic. There's no way that second balloon is gonna go up in the next 3 minutes, right?
Wrong.
Sure enough, that balloon blows up at 7:19 on the dot.
I don't.
Cheers. Motherfucker, yes, he is that good.
I just knocked him out. I picked around.
Joe and Frank then both make it back to the airfield and make a perfect landing in the darkness. I don't know how they felt climbing out of that cockpit, but I bet it was pretty good.
Yeah. Oh my God.
September 17th, 1918, him and Joe get the day off. September 18th, they both go back up again. And now they've got it down to a science. They're not even doing it at night this time. It's daylight. They can see. They're doing this on easy mode. They go, they hit the first balloon, they blow it up. They make a beeline to the second balloon. Same strategy. Shoot the balloon. The balloon blows up, and they're getting lit up by anti-aircraft fire. But then suddenly, the anti-aircraft fire stops. Sounds good. It's not. That means that there's a bunch of German planes that are right on top of them. Frank realizes this, spots 2 planes on his tail, and Joe is getting absolutely swarmed above him. Frank peels off, gets in a dogfight, somehow manages to not only get both of them off of his tail, but to shoot both of them down. Then he doubles back to go help out Joe, but by the time he gets done with that dogfight, he can't find any planes anywhere. He doesn't know what to do, so he heads back to the airfield. It's not the first time him and Joe have gotten separated. Joe knows how to handle himself. He's a
Oh no. Oh God, no. Oh God. I'm not gonna like this. I'm not gonna like this.
great pilot. I'm sure it's okay. On his way back to the airfield, he spots a German recon plane conducting some reconnaissance, and he's still got some ammunition. It'd be a shame to bring all of that back, so he engages a recon plane and shoots that down as well. And Frank doesn't know it at the time, but this gives him his 13th confirmed aerial victory, making him America's ace of aces, America's top scoring ace, surpassing the great Eddie Rickenbacker and earning him his second Distinguished Service Cross. And he did it in 6 days with a couple days off. So Frank makes it back to the airfield, makes a safe landing. Everything's going great. He's on top of the world, but then Joe's not there yet. And Joe never shows up. During that dogfight, Joe was struck with a burst of machine gun fire, striking him in his head, his chest, and his plane's fuel tank,
Oh, God.
killing him instantly.
Holy hell. Holy hell. This is the worst part. This is the worst part of war. There is such a strong likelihood that you're going to lose your best friend. Shit. I can only imagine what Luke must have gone through when he lost Chewett like this. I can only imagine. God.
After they receive confirmation that Joe was killed in combat, Major Hartney realizes that his best fighter pilot just lost his best friend and his wingman, so he gives him time off and sends him to Paris for 7 days. It is during this time that Frank realizes that he is America's leading ace, and he realizes this because his face is plastered all over newspapers absolutely everywhere, and he's basically a celebrity, and the newspapers are calling him the Arizona Balloon Buster. But not only does he have to deal with the fact that he just lost his best friend and all this newfound fame that he doesn't necessarily want, he also realizes that he now has to deal with the fact that as far as his mom and girlfriend are aware, he's still ferrying planes back and forth and has not been fighting in the front. He's been doing a lot of fighting in the front, and apparently he's the best at it. Quote,
Atsunashi, I'm not so sure about that because trying to remember if back during World War I, they pulled like their war heroes off the lines to basically do publicity tours like they did in World War II. Yeah, this is World War I, not World War II. So I'm pretty sure that they, even when you're the best of the best, they use you. It wasn't they were pulling you off the lines to bring you back to the rear to start, doing public tours, do war bond tours, to train the new guys. It was like, you're kicking ass. We need you to keep kicking ass and to just keep fucking going.
Quote, "Dear mother, not been writing you in some days on account of being so busy, as no doubt you've already learned. This is a line to let you know I'm okay. Now, mother, remember that I have passed the dangerous stage of being a new player in this game. You don't have to worry about me. I know how to take care of myself. Love you all." And with that, he spends the rest of his leave just kind of sitting around Paris, waiting to go back. Frank shows back up to the base on September 25th, 1918. He's ready to go back up, doesn't really know what to do. He just wants to go up there and do his job. Major Hartney's not about to let that happen. He doesn't want to rush Frank back into combat, so he introduces him to his new wingman, a guy by the name of Ivan. Nice guy, good pilot, but it's not Joe. Major Hartney then sends them out on a hearts and mind mission, airdropping cigarettes and playing cards over Allied trenches, hoping to get these two to bond, get Frank some time back in the seat where he's not getting shot at. Next morning, September 26th, Frank sneaks off alone. He doesn't really want to take Ivan with him. He doesn't want to get anybody else hurt, so he goes off lone.
Okay, Vespasian, fair point. That he was an ace for Canada, but again, that's Canada. We're talking about the U.S. in World War I. The U.S. in World War I typically was not pulling off their war heroes. They were letting them just stay there, and typically speaking, they just let them stay and do their thing. Now, Canada may have operated differently during World War I with this. This is the U.S. that we're talking about, though.
Sneaks off alone. He doesn't really want to take Ivan with him. He doesn't want to get anybody else hurt, so he goes off lone wolf style, completely by himself, looking for German balloons. Doesn't find any, comes back. That evening, they got to go up again. Can't wake up early and sneak off solo, so he's got to take Ivan with him this time. They take off. They find an enemy balloon. Before they make it to it, they get engaged by 8 German planes. Frank's got 3 on his tail. Ivan's getting swarmed by the rest. Frank manages to shoot one of them down, but then both of his guns jam and he can't get them back up. The only thing he can do is outrun and outmaneuver his 2 tails, which he eventually does, and he loses them. At this point, he realizes he can't go back and look for Ivan because both of his guns are down, which just means he's another defenseless target and he can't help even if he did get eyes on him. So he goes back to the airfield and he lands, and Ivan never shows up. And with this, I can only presume that Frank...
Oh my God. Oh my God. He's never going to accept another wingman again. Oh God. Okay. What his tism brain is doing right now is anybody that flies with me is going to die. That's what his brain is telling him right now after this, is that anybody that goes up in the air with me is going to die, and I am a solo act. He is going to refuse to take anybody up with him from this point forward. He say, I'm flying solo, no one's coming with me, no one else is going to die because of me, because his brain is telling him, if someone goes up with him, that person's not coming home, and that will be unacceptable.
Loses it. It is at this point that Frank decides he's never going up with another pilot ever again. He is going up solo from now on. He's not going to be responsible for getting anybody else killed.
Exactly what I said. Exactly what I said.
September 27th, 1918, he has the day off. September 28th, 1918, he's ordered to go up. He requests Major Hartney that he go up solo. He doesn't want to go up with anybody else. They need to have a meeting about it and discuss it. They're thinking about it because he's the ace of aces. What could possibly go wrong? And while they're in their meeting discussing it, he decides he's just going to take off anyways without permission. He figures, what are they really going to do to him? Get mad at America's leading ace because he goes out and does his job? Not going to happen. He just fucking leaves. No flight plan, no authorization. He goes. Heads straight to a balloon that's been over Verdun for the past couple of days. They've been trying to take it down every single day and nobody can get this job done. Frank heads straight to it, hits it from the bottom with his signature move, blows it up in a single pass, comes back, lands at the airfield. Chain of command is absolutely furious. They ground him. September 29th, 1918, Frank Luke, America's leading ace, is grounded. He is not allowed to fly. He goes out, takes off anyways. He sees 3 enemy balloons off in the distance, at which point he decides that he's going to take the time to write a letter and drop it to the ground crew to the nearest American balloon. And that letter basically says, watch this shit, I'm going to need somebody to say it happened. Which is basically the World War I equivalent of saying, hey, I need you guys to hold the camera and yell World Star because I'm about to do some gangster shit. Frank then beelines it to the first German balloon, completely destroys it, then immediately heads to the next German balloon and destroys it as well in the span of like 5 minutes by by himself. He then heads straight to the third
God.
balloon. Now they know he's coming. He takes heavy anti-aircraft fire on the way in, but destroys that balloon anyways. And it is at this point that he probably realizes that he's been shot in the chest from that anti-aircraft fire. What he probably doesn't realize is that he's more than likely suffering from a sucking chest wound, which will eventually turn into tension pneumothorax. Which, if you don't know, your chest cavity is obviously airtight. When you breathe, it's your diaphragm expanding. This creates negative pressure, which forces your lungs to expand, sucking oxygen into your lungs, allowing you to live. So when you have a sucking chest wound and that diaphragm expands, it not only sucks oxygen into your lungs, it also sucks it directly into your chest cavity. And with every single breath, it compresses the lung on that side a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Eventually turns into tension pneumothorax, where that lung compresses completely into the heart and your other lung, leading to your death. And that can take anywhere from a couple minutes to over half an hour. What happens next is debated amongst historians, but I will be telling you what happened according to French eyewitnesses on the ground. Because unpopular opinion, I really don't give a fuck what some history professor from 1970 thinks about it 50 years after the fact, just because he's got a PhD. I'm gonna go with the eyewitness accounts from the people that saw it with their own fucking eyeballs. Frank has just downed 3 enemy balloons in the span of 15 minutes by himself and received a gunshot wound to the chest for his troubles, but Frank Luke is gonna be Frank Luke. He realizes he still has ammunition left, and it'd be a shame to fly that all the way back to the airfield. He then proceeds to fly to the nearest French town and strafe German ground troops, allegedly killing at least 6 of them. He is then engaged by an estimated 8 German planes. He then proceeds to get in a dogfight with all 8 of them by himself, shoots down 2 of them before being forced to make an emergency landing in a nearby field. He then proceeds to grab his Colt 1911 pistol and engage German ground troops until succumbing to his injuries. And that is the epic but tragic story of Frank Luke Jr., the Arizona balloon buster. At the age of 21 years old, in the span of 18 days, he flew 10 missions and is credited with 18 aerial victories, 14 balloons, and 4 enemy planes. For this, he was awarded 2 Distinguished Service Crosses and posthumously the Medal of Honor. Despite his premature death, by the end of World War I, he was still in second place for the most aerial victories for any American pilot, only surpassed by the great Eddie Rickenbacker, who would later go on to say, and I quote, "Had he lived, he would have put me out of business long ago as America's leading ace. I wouldn't have put up a show against him." Worth noting, while Eddie Rickenbacker did have 26 confirmed aerial victories, only 11 of them were confirmed completely destroyed, compared to Frank Luke's 17 out of 18 confirmed completely destroyed, which I believe makes him the greatest fighter ace of World War I. Buh! Everybody knows the greatest fighter ace of World War I is the Red Baron, Manfred von Richthofen. Buh! Okay, this is not the time for you right now, okay? Let me make this super simple for you. If you want to be MVP, your team has to win. Them's the rules. Did his team win? No, then shut the fuck up. Go simp over losers in somebody else's comment section. I don't want to hear it. Sorry. Anyways, in conclusion, balloons, not an easy target to take down. Now we all know. More importantly, Frank Luke Jr., the Arizona balloon buster, is the greatest fighter ace of World War I, and that's not just my opinion, that's Eddie Rickenbacker's. Thanks for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang out. All right, I almost didn't put this in the video, but I had to suffer through this, so I'm gonna make you suffer through it with me. Remember when Frank wrote his mom a letter in Paris? She wrote him a letter back. He never got to read it, but this is what it said. "My dear Frank, I received your letter today. I was so glad to hear from you and to know that you are well. I pray for you every day, and I know God will keep you safe from harm. Everything at home is going along nicely. Your brothers and sisters are well. Don't take any chances that you don't have to, my boy. I know you will do your duty, but remember, you have a mother at home who loves you and longs for the day that you will come back to us. Love, Mom."
Oh God! Oh God! Tristan. Oh, you could. It's why I muted my microphone during that, because I was crying so hard. And I didn't want to interrupt, so I muted myself. During that part. Oh my God. Oh. Oh God. Oh. Yeah. It was. Oh God. Yeah. That was heartbreaking. That was just absolutely heartbreaking. Oh. But it's definitely a story. Yeah. Yes. Before I conclude this part, absolutely, I'm having one. To wrap up this part. Raise your glasses if you got them. No matter what the hell's in them, raise your glasses. A toast to Frank Luke. Oh. Who absolutely is the definitive weaponized autism of World War I. Here's to you, ace of aces. Oh, 07. Oh, 07. Break. Oh, 07.